Hello, Sanbonani, and welcome to Melusi's Everyday Zulu Lesson 6. It's been a pleasure learning with you over the past couple of lessons, and I hope you found it just as pleasurable and useful. So here we are again, and I'm with Utenjiwe, and she'll again lead the lesson.
Ngiyabonga Melusi. Sanibonani futhi bafundi. We hope that you've been practicing, that you've been walking around after the lesson going ngiya, gijima, ngiya, la, and that you're going to just continue remembering to say that. We are at lesson 6, and as you'll see from your outline, we're remaining with the words, yeah? Again, the point of that is that we're learning how to create the language with something that is consistent, yes.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the lessons, and this week we're going to be learning something called negating. Negating in English is ukupika, yeah, ukupika. So the question is, how do you deny all of these things? So if somebody catches you and says you are doing the thing, and you're in a group and you want to say, no, we didn't do that, yeah? And so using these same words, we're going to learn how to negate, because again, in Zulu, often the core word remains the same, and it's things either in the front or at the back, so the prefix or the suffix that changes to change the nature of the sentence. All right, so we're going to go straight into it, and our first negation is the I am not. So when you want to say I am not doing something, so when you're saying I am doing something, you say ngiya. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Ngiya.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing something.
Yeah.
So when you want to say I am not doing something, uti a ngi. Yeah? So the ngi remains the same. You just put an a in front of it, and then there's no ya. So you remove the ya at the end, and it's angi. Yeah? So for example, if somebody says uyaphila Melusi and you're not fine, you say
Angiphili.
Angiphili. So if ever you have to answer honestly, if somebody says unjani, you can say angiphili. Yeah? All right. And so we're going to go back into our words, and we're going to, with Melusi, go through negating this.
But how, also the I at the end?
Yes. So we're going to do that.
Oh,
so we're going to say
cool.
it, and then we're going to share the rule.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, Melusi, uyacathama.
Angicathami.
Angicathami.
Never sneak around, man. Angicathami.
All right. Uyafakaza.
Angifakazi.
Angifakazi.
I mind my own business. I mind my own business. Angifakazi.
He can't say that because uyagijima yena, but angigijimi. Yeah? Angigijimi. So I do not run.
Yeah.
Angigijimi. And again, he can't say this, but because I'm young and I sometimes don't care about my health, angilali. Angilali. And so when Uma wako used to ask you, ukuthi uyalalela.
And I'd have to be honest and say, no ma, angilaleli. Angilaleli. I do not listen.
Angilaleli. Siyabonga Melusi. And have you ever been caught trying to go somewhere and then you have to say you're not going?
Yeah. My kids, like, I'll be trying to leave the house and they say, Daddy, where are you going? I'm like, angihambi. You know, angihambi. I was just going to the door because people sometimes go to the door. Angihambi.
Angihambi. Siyabonga Melusi. And so Melusi blushes, we've learned that we are moizela.
Angimoizeli.
I don't know if it's possible in the melanin, so angimoizeli.
Nami angimoizeli. No, I was making that up. Angimoizeli. I do not blush. Angimoizeli.
Siyabonga Melusi. And when you're repeating something, this used to be a thing when you were in school the next year, the start of the year, and you had to declare if you weren't one of the smart kids, which angipindi. Angipindi. I am not repeating. Angipindi. Yeah? And when I'm uyapunyuka?
I never get away with anything. So angipunyuki. I always get bust. Angipunyuki.
All right. Siyabonga Melusi. And can we both say that about ourselves? Ukuthi angitagati?
Angitagati.
Nami angitagati.
I do not bewitch. I do not use any sort of magic. Angitagati.
I looked at this Panzasam and I wasn't sure whether you'd believe that. But angitakati. Yeah, so, all right. So what Umelusi had just highlighted earlier is that, so you've heard us say these, but the words, and we've gone through the words. So the rule with negation is that when you add an a at the beginning, so when you said angi, I'm not doing something, the last letter will always change into an I. The last letter will always change into an I. So what Umelusi and I have been saying, he was saying angicata mi, not angicata ma. The word itself is tatama, but when you say you are not doing it, you say angicata mi. Yeah? And it's the same with ufakaza. So when you are testifying, we are fakaza, but when you are not,
angifakazi.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's the
So
same
on,
with
so on,
ukijima, angilali, so angikijimi, angilali, angilaleli, angihambi, angimoizeli, angipindi, angiphunyuki, angitakati. Yeah. So, but this is going to be in the extra material. In particular, you're going to see this, and I'm going to highlight this in the extra material slides that I'm going to share with you, so that you can see it and not just hear it. All right. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. So the second part of this lesson, again continuing from how we had done the previous lesson, is how do you say they are not? Abantu abaningi, when so a lot of people are baya pika. So when they are, pika is deny. So baya from last week.
So it's plural negation.
Yes, it's plural negation. And we are negating siya pika. So do you remember that from last week? Except this week we're going to be learning how to actively negate a sentence or an action word. Okay? So, for example, if Umelusi had caught the men in his house that he threw the eggs with, if the eggs made them want to come up to him and say, Asi atami. Yeah?
We are not
Asi
sneaking.
atami, yes. We are not sneaking. So it is si ya. When we are doing something, it is asi, the same way that it was angi. It is asi atami. And the rule remains the same. You've added an A into the front to negate asi. And so the last letter will drop and it will become an I instead of an A. All right. So going through this, how would you say a lot of you are not testifying?
Yeah, so if, let's say, I was part of the those who captured the state, and the Commission of Inquiry came and said, you will testify, and I would say, asifakazi, asifakazi. We are not testifying. We refuse, asifakazi.
And when you are part of the people also not running, so when the other runners on that day are also not running,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're a part of them.
Maybe it's raining, so like, asikijimi, asikijimi, asikijimi.
All right, siyabonga kakhulu Melusi. And when you are very young, so as I said, I'd say that I don't sleep, but because it's a youth thing, where before 30s our livers are still alive, asilali. And if Umelusi had been caught with a sibling or the cousin from the church, being shouted at about uglalela.
Yeah, so someone says to me, why is your mother hitting you? And we'll be crying through our tears, say, asilaleli, asilaleli. We're being hit because we do not listen. Asilaleli.
All right, siyabonga Melusi. Asihambi, we are not going.
Yeah.
Asihambi.
Like when the apartheid government
Yes.
tried to move
Yes.
people. They eventually won, but initially people were saying,
Yes.
asihambi, asihambi, but then they beat them and they moved.
They won.
Yeah.
All right, that was anyway.
Was that depressing?
Yeah.
Good. You look too
I
happy.
just keep forgetting that Melusi lived through apartheid. Okay, and as Abandu we both said we're I mean, I don't know what
We're melanin. We've
Oh, is
got too
that
much
true?
melanin,
No, you don't.
so we can't blush. You know, asmoizeli.
Okay,
Asimoizeli.
Asimoizeli.
Asimoizeli. We can't blush.
Yes.
We don't blush.
We do not
Asimoizeli. Yeah.
All right, and then so when people are repeating something, how do you say we are not repeating?
Asipindi.
Uh-huh.
Asipindi.
And then with all of these cash and transit heists, I was wondering whether like any of the people who got caught would be like asiphunyuki. Asiphunyuki.
So now you've been arrested for doing something dumb, and it's a group of you, and you realize that we're not escaping. You look at your friends and say, hey, gents, asiphunyuki. Asiphunyuki. We're not escaping.
Yes, siyabonga Melusi. And then Sino Melusi, as we said before, collectively, asitakati. Asitakati. All right, ngiyabonga kakhulu. So I hope that you've heard that, and again, what's consistent is the C for the we. But when you're speaking about other people, so they, the people who are sneaking in, the state captures, you would say aba, they are not. So it's the ba is the same as the baya, yeah. So when you baya, they are doing it. Aba, they are not doing it, yeah. The third part, which is the third part of our lesson, is to say they are. So you're not a part of them, but they're not doing it. So they've been accused and they're not doing it, or they're not doing anything. It is consistent with the same way that in the lesson before we were saying baya. It is aba, so the ba is the same. And in the same way that we added an a to the ngi, angi, asi, you add an a before this. And the rule of the a is that the a will also change the last letter of the word. And we'll change that from an a to an I, yeah? But it remains the same, aba, the root word remains the same, atam, and then the last word, where the letter would change to me. So, aba, atami. Aba, atami. How do you use ukfagaza, for example?
So if people that had been called to testify refuse, you know, and I say, "Aye, abafakazi, abafakazi," they are not testifying. Abafakazi.
And then how probably Melusi would refer to the rest of us who don't run, abagijimi. Abagijimi. All right? And when your children are not sleeping because of the amount of sugar,
abalali. Hey, abalali. Those ones, abalali.
How are you with bedtime? No. And then how, and bayalalela?
Abalaleli. My children do not listen. Abalaleli. In fact, they're for sale.
Please don't. And so when the apartheid police were like trying to move Melusi and all
they would turn to each other and say, Abahambi. These people don't want to leave. They're not leaving. Abahambi. Abahambi.
Siyabonga. And then our next word is abamoyizeli. Yeah. When Melusi is walking into a room and the girls don't blush and he's just shocked.
I'm trying to impress them, and I'm like, abamoyizeli. Which is truer than what I said earlier. Aba Moizeli, ever. Aba Moizeli.
Siyabonga Melusi. And if it was a lot of, so imagine it's a class and the teacher thought that everybody was going to fail, which I think sometimes about my students. And then you're really excited when you realize that they won't do that. Abapindi.
Abapindi.
Abapindi. They are not repeating. Abapindi. And then obani abangaphunyuki Melusi.
So when criminals have been cornered by the police, right? Abaphunyuki. This is it. This is it for them. They're going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Abaphunyuki. Abaphunyuki. They're not escaping.
Siyabonga Melusi. And Shane, the last word is tagata. All of those women who have been called witches through their lives, I'm just here to tell you. Yeah.
Abatagati. They're not witches, man.
Abatagati.
Yeah. Not cool.
Not
Abatagati.
Cool
yeah.
Yes. Siyabonga. So, Bafundi, we've come to the end of our lesson. And this is the lesson where we are learning ukupika for one person, for a group, and when you're a part of the group. So we, they, I. So angi is I am not. And remember the rule to change. Aba means they are not. Asi means we are not. Please remember to gather more words, as many Zulu words as you possibly can. Listen to them and try use these rules that you've learned from these lessons to try and negate sentences. Thank you very much, and I hope that you're practicing.
Cool. We've arrived at the end of lesson 6, and we hope you found it useful. And again, practice, and check out the pronunciations. Don't forget to go to the external resources, which are online, Ukhozi FM, Uzalo, isibaya, and again, I'll repeat pronunciations. Just remember to try and get the pronunciations right, because those are very key. Thank you very much. See you next lesson.
Salam kahle.
Hambani kahle.